The stars shone brightly through the viewing window as Captain Lisa Monroe straightened her uniform. After decades of research and development, humans had finally achieved what many thought impossible: reliable, faster-than-light travel. Now, the Earth spaceship Pathfinder floated near the massive structure known as Nexus Station, humanity's first contact point with the wider galactic community. "Captain, we're receiving docking instructions," said Greg Martinez from his communication station. His fingers moved quickly across the control panel as alien symbols translated into English. Lisa nodded. "Proceed with docking sequence. Let's make a good first impression." The bridge crew worked with focused determination. Security Chief John Davis stood by the captain's chair, his muscular frame tense as he watched the alien station grow larger on the main screen. Dr. Samantha Miller, the ship's xenobiologist, could barely contain her excitement as she gathered her equipment. "Remember the briefing," Lisa told her crew. "We represent all of humanity today. The United Earth government expects us to establish peaceful relations with the Galactic Federation." The Pathfinder smoothly entered the designated docking bay. Through the viewports, they could see beings of various shapes, sizes, and colors moving about the station. Some had too many limbs, others too few. Some floated, others crawled. "Atmosphere reads as safe for humans," reported the ship's environmental officer. Lisa took a deep breath, opening the airlock in 3, 2, 1. The delegation consisted of Lisa, John, Samantha, and Greg. As the airlock doors slid open with a soft hiss, they were met with a wall of strange scents, some pleasant, others decidedly not. A group of aliens waited for them, standing at what seemed to be a careful distance. A tall, purple-skinned being with 4 arms stepped forward. "I am Station Director Prelixan. Welcome to Nexus Station, humans of Earth." The words came through their universal translators with only slight delay. Lisa stepped forward with a diplomatic smile. "Thank you for your welcome. I am Captain Lisa Monroe of the ESS Pathfinder, representing the United Earth government." A strange silence fell. The aliens looked at each other with expressions that seemed like concern, though it was hard to read non-human faces. From behind the greeting party emerged a creature that resembled a giant insect walking on its hind legs. Its exoskeleton gleamed under the station lights. "I am Ambassador Keztak of the Arvani Collective," it clicked, mandibles moving as it spoke. "I must caution my colleagues. These are Deathworlders. Keep your distance for safety, both theirs and yours." Lisa frowned. "Excuse me, Deathworlders." Keztak's compound eyes reflected the light as it turned to her. "Your planet, Earth, is classified as Deathworld 7 in our records. An extremely dangerous place that should have made intelligent life impossible. Yet here you are." The human delegation exchanged confused glances. "We should proceed to the quarantine and adaptation chambers," said Director Prelixan, gesturing with 2 of its 4 arms. "Standard procedure for new species, especially from challenging environments." As they walked through the station corridors, the humans noticed how other beings moved away from them. Some watched with obvious curiosity, others with what looked like fear. "They're acting like we might break something, or someone," John whispered to Lisa. In the quarantine area, they were scanned by machines while medical officers wearing protective gear observed from behind transparent barriers. "This seems excessive," Samantha said, her scientific interest now mixed with confusion. A small alien with pale blue skin approached them, moving carefully. "Forgive our caution. I am Dr. Vendley, xenobiology specialist. Your biology readings are concerning." "Concerning how?" Lisa asked. "Your bone density alone would crush most sentient species on this station. Your muscle strength exceeds safety parameters. And you breathe a corrosive gas mix that would poison most life forms here." The doctor's voice conveyed both fear and fascination. Lisa tried to process this information. On Earth, humans had always considered themselves a relatively fragile species compared to the planet's other inhabitants. Here, among the stars, they were apparently viewed as dangerous creatures from a deadly world. Ambassador Kestak clicked its mandibles from the doorway. The council will see you tomorrow. Until then, please remain in your designated quarters. For everyone's safety, we've reinforced the furniture and adjusted the environmental controls to your unusual preferences. As the aliens left, the four humans stood in silence, trying to make sense of their unexpected reception. They weren't being treated as equals or even as interesting newcomers. They were being handled like unpredictable, potentially dangerous beings. "Well," Greg finally said with a nervous laugh, "so much for our good first impression." Lisa woke up feeling strangely heavy. The quarters assigned to the human delegation were comfortable enough, but something felt off. She checked her data pad and frowned. "They've increased the gravity in our rooms," she told her team when they gathered for breakfast. "Apparently normal station gravity would be dangerously light for us and might cause health problems." John tried the food provided. Nutrient cubes designed to meet human dietary needs. "These taste like cardboard," he complained. Dr. Samantha Miller studied her tablet. "I've been reading the information packet they sent us. According to their data, Earth is one of the most dangerous planets in known space." Greg looked up from his meal. "That can't be right. We've got beaches and parks and nice weather." "Not from their perspective." Samantha turned her tablet so they could all see. "Our gravity is crushing to most species. Our oxygen levels would be like breathing acid for them. Our temperature ranges between winter and summer would kill most sentient life forms. Even our background radiation levels are considered dangerously high." Lisa leaned back in her chair, which creaked under what felt like increased weight. "So when they call us Deathworlders, they mean we evolved on a planet that would kill most of them instantly," Samantha finished. "And our bodies adapted to survive conditions they consider extreme." A chime at the door interrupted them. A slender alien with silver skin entered, moving with graceful steps. "I am Zarina, assigned as your guide to Nexus Station," the alien said in a melodic voice. "The Council awaits your presence." They followed Zarina through wide corridors. Other aliens moved aside quickly, creating a clear path wherever the humans walked. "Are they afraid of us?" Greg whispered. Zarina's large eyes blinked. "Most species here evolved on gentle worlds with stable conditions. Your kind survived on a planet with crushing gravity, extreme temperature shifts, deadly weather patterns, and dangerous wildlife. This makes others cautious." The council chamber was impressive. A huge circular room with seats for dozens of different species. The humans were directed to stand in the center while representatives looked down at them from elevated platforms. "Welcome, Earth delegation," said a tall being with flowing robes and skin that shifted colors like an octopus. "I am High Counselor Nevrath. We have reviewed your biological data with great interest." Ambassador Kestak clicked forward. "And concern. These humans come from a Class 7 death world. Their natural strength exceeds safety regulations for public spaces." Samantha stepped forward. "If I may speak." When the council nodded, she continued, "We're learning that what's normal for us is extreme for you. But humans aren't naturally aggressive. We're explorers seeking peaceful contact." An alien with tentacles waved dismissively. The last known death world species, the Krethak, said similar things. 3 cycles later, they had conquered 7 systems before their violence turned inward, and they destroyed themselves. Lisa frowned. "Humans aren't the Krethak. We've had our violent periods, but we've moved beyond them." As the debate continued, John noticed a commotion near one of the side entrances. A group of tall, reptilian beings entered, their scales gleaming under the lights. They moved with confident strides, clearly warriors of some kind. The lead reptilian, nearly 7 feet tall with dark green scales, approached the central platform. Even the council members seemed to show him unusual respect. "Vexilor of the Dravid," announced Nevrath, "champion of the Galactic Endurance Trials, here to observe the human delegation." Vexilor's yellow eyes studied the humans with open curiosity. "So these are the soft creatures from the hard world. Interesting." John straightened his back, standing taller. The reptilian warrior noticed and bared his teeth in what might have been a smile. As they left the council chambers, an incident occurred that would change everything. A small, floating alien drifted too close to John. He instinctively reached out to prevent a collision, touching the alien's arm. The creature made a terrible shrieking sound and collapsed to the floor. What happened? John backed away, horrified. I barely touched it. Medical staff rushed forward as Ambassador Kiztak moved between John and the fallen alien. This is what we feared, Kiztak said. Your simple touch broke 3 support structures in Ambassador Plin's outer membrane. What you considered gentle contact is devastating force to most species. Zerna looked at the shocked humans. Now you understand. It's not just your world that makes you Deathworlders. It's your bodies, adapted to survive there. What seems normal to you can be deadly to others. Lisa watched as the injured ambassador was carried away. This would complicate their mission greatly. How could they build relationships when even a handshake could cause serious injury? The incident with Ambassador Plin created a diplomatic mess. The human delegation was confined to their quarters while the council debated what to do with them. Lisa paced back and forth, thinking about their options. We can't change who we are, she said to her team. But we need to find a way to show them we're not dangerous. Samantha looked up from her studies of alien biology. They're treating us like we're made of steel and they're made of glass. And from a certain perspective, they're right. A message flashed on their communication panel. The annual Galactic Endurance Championship was set to begin on Nexus Station in 2 days. All visiting delegations were invited to watch. Endurance Championship? John asked. Zerina, who had been assigned to stay with them despite the incident, explained. It is the greatest multi-species competition in the Federation. Tests of strength, speed, endurance, and survival skills across various environments. The door chimed and slid open. Vexlor of the Dravid entered, his reptilian form filling the doorway. 2 guards waited outside, looking nervous. Greetings, humans, Vexlor said, his voice deep and rumbling. I wish to see the Deathworlders up close. Lisa stepped forward. Captain Lisa Monroe. These are my crew members. Vexlor's eyes narrowed. I've won the Endurance Championship 3 cycles in a row. My people are considered the toughest in the galaxy. He walked around them, studying their forms. Yet your muscles developed on a world with nearly twice the gravity of my homeworld. We're not as impressive as you think, Greg said. On Earth, we're just average. Vexlor laughed, a sound like rocks grinding together. The Dravid have a saying. Soft creatures from hard worlds hide their strength. He pointed to John. Your security officer broke Plin's arm without effort. That was an accident, John protested. Of course. Vexlor nodded. But accidents reveal truth. The Council fears what you might do deliberately if provoked. After Vexlor left, Lisa called her team together. I have an idea. It's risky, but it might change how they see us. The next morning, Lisa requested a meeting with the Council. To her surprise, they agreed. Honorable Council, she began, standing tall in the center of the chamber. We understand your concerns about humans. We came seeking friendship, not to frighten anyone. So I propose a demonstration of our intentions. The councilors murmured among themselves. What kind of demonstration? Asked Nevrath. We request permission to enter the Galactic Endurance Championship, Lisa said clearly. The chamber erupted in shocked voices. Ambassador Keztak's mandibles clicked rapidly. Absolutely not. The championship is for sport, not for proving political points, Kiztak said. And it would be dangerous, added another counselor. Your natural abilities would give you an unfair advantage. Vexlor, who was present again, stepped forward. Let them compete. Everyone turned to look at the champion. They can wear strength limiters and protective gear, Vexlor continued. For the safety of others. It will show us what these humans are truly capable of. After hours of debate, the council reached a decision. The humans would be allowed to enter the competition under strict conditions. They would wear devices to limit their strength and protective gear to prevent accidental injuries to other competitors. Back in their quarters, the team prepared for what was to come. "Are you sure about this?" John asked Lisa privately. "We don't know what these tests involve." Lisa nodded. "We need to show them we can control our strength, that we can be trusted." Engineer Alan Patel, who had stayed aboard the Pathfinder until now, joined them to help with equipment modifications. "The strength limiters they gave us are interesting tech," he said, examining the devices. "They dampen muscle response. We'll only have about 60% of our normal strength." "Will that be enough?" Greg asked. Lisa looked at the announcement for the championship. The first event was called Survival Adaptation. Competitors would face rapidly changing environments and would need to adapt quickly to proceed. "We'll find out tomorrow," she said. "But remember, we're not just competing for ourselves. We're representing all of humanity." That night, as the human team slept, aliens throughout Nexus Station placed bets on how quickly the Deathworlders would be eliminated or killed in the competition. Only Vexlor bet differently. He placed a small wager that they would survive the first round. Morning came quickly. The human team gathered in their quarters, checking their gear one last time. The strength limiters were thin bands wrapped around their wrists and ankles, with a main unit attached to their backs. "How do they feel?" asked Lisa as she adjusted her own limiter. John flexed his arms. "Like I'm moving through water. Everything feels heavier." Elan nodded. "That's the point. They're designed to make us weaker." Zurina arrived to escort them to the competition arena. As they walked, she explained more about what they would face. The first challenge tests adaptation to changing environments. Competitors must navigate through 5 zones with different conditions. "What kind of conditions?" Samantha asked. "Temperature changes, gravity shifts, atmospheric variations, obstacles. Each team must reach the end with all members intact." The arena was massive, a huge dome with transparent walls that allowed spectators to watch from all sides. 50 teams from across the galaxy were gathered, each wearing their species' colors. The humans wore blue and white, Earth's colors in the Galactic Registry. Lisa noticed Vexlor and his team of 4 Dravid warriors in red and black. They looked powerful even compared to other competitors. The reptilian champion nodded slightly toward the humans, a gesture that wasn't exactly friendly but showed a kind of acknowledgement. Ambassador Kestak approached with 2 medical officers. "Final checks on your limiters," the ambassador clicked. "We must ensure they're functioning correctly." The officers adjusted some settings on the devices. Lisa felt her arms grow even heavier. "Was that necessary?" she asked. Kestak's compound eyes reflected the arena lights. "Safety precautions." The other competitors requested it. A loud announcement echoed through the arena. The competition was about to begin. All teams moved to their starting positions. "Remember," Lisa told her team, "stay together, move carefully, and don't push too hard. This is about finishing, not winning." The first zone looked simple enough, a flat plane with normal gravity and temperature. But as soon as the starting signal sounded and teams began moving forward, the environment changed. The temperature dropped rapidly. "It's getting cold," Greg said, his breath becoming visible. "Keep moving," John urged. "Movement generates heat." Around them, some alien species were already struggling with the cold. Their bodies weren't designed for temperature drops. 2 teams retreated to the starting area, unable to continue. The humans pressed forward, reaching the second zone. Here, the gravity increased, and the air became thicker, harder to breathe. "This is like mountain climbing on Earth," Samantha said between breaths. Lisa noticed Vexlor's team moving smoothly ahead, seemingly unaffected. But many other teams were collapsing, unable to handle the conditions. "Our world prepared us for this," Lisa encouraged her team. "Even with the limiters, we can do it." They pushed through to the 3rd zone, where rain began falling. Not water, but some kind of acidic compound that stung when it touched exposed skin. "Cover your faces," Alan warned, pulling up his protective hood. Several more teams withdrew, their bodies unable to handle the chemical rain. But the humans continued, their skin more resistant than most species to the mild acid. In the viewing area, the council members watched with growing surprise. "They're still moving," Nevrath noted, "even with the limiters set to maximum restriction." Kestak's mandibles clicked nervously. "Their natural endurance exceeds our calculations." The fourth zone brought swirling winds and floating debris. The humans linked arms to stay together, forming a chain as they navigated through. "Almost there," Lisa called over the howling wind. The final zone was eerily calm but filled with a thick fog that made visibility nearly zero. Strange sounds echoed around them, designed to confuse and disorient. "Stay focused," John said. "Follow my voice." Step by step, they made their way through the fog. When they finally emerged at the finish area, they were surprised to find only 3 other teams had finished before them. Vexeler's team was first, of course. The champion watched as the humans crossed the finish line, all 4 still standing. "Well done, Deathworlders," he said, surprising everyone with a formal salute. "You have earned the right to continue." The spectators buzzed with excitement and concern. The humans had not only survived but performed far better than anyone expected, even with their strength artificially limited. "What happens now?" Lisa asked, catching her breath. Zerna, who waited at the finish, looked both impressed and worried. "Now you rest. Tomorrow brings the second challenge, and it will be much harder." News of the humans' performance spread quickly through Mex's station. Aliens gathered in viewing areas to watch recordings of the Deathworlders completing the first challenge. Some viewed the footage with fear, others with growing interest. In their quarters, the human team rested and prepared for the next day. "They've adjusted our limiters again," Alan said, examining the devices, "made them even more restrictive." Lisa wasn't surprised. "They're worried about us. We weren't supposed to do so well." Samantha studied the medical scans they had been given. "Look at this data. The other species were truly struggling with conditions we consider mild. The acid rain that barely bothered us would have dissolved the outer membranes of 3 different species." A soft chime announced a visitor. The door slid open to reveal Zerna, carrying what looked like food containers. "I brought you proper meals," the alien said. "The nutrition cubes they've been giving you lack taste for human palates." John accepted the containers gratefully. Inside was something that resembled actual food: cooked grains, vegetables, and protein. "This is very kind," Lisa said as they ate. "Thank you." Zerna sat with them, her silver skin reflecting the room's light. "May I speak freely?" Lisa nodded. "Not everyone fears you," Zerna said quietly. "Some of us are fascinated by Deathworlders. Your adaptability, your resilience. These are rare traits in the galaxy." "Then why all the precautions?" Greg asked. "Because those who fear you hold power," Zerna replied. "The last known Deathworld species became conquerors before destroying themselves. The memory still haunts the older races." "We're not conquerors," Lisa insisted. "I believe you," Zerna said. "That's why I want to help." Tomorrow's challenge is called Night Survival. Teams must endure 12 hours in simulated darkness with changing conditions. "That doesn't sound too bad," John said. Zerna's large eyes blinked slowly. "For humans, perhaps not. But most sentient species evolved on worlds with stable day-night cycles. Extended darkness creates panic, reduces function, and the changing conditions will be extreme." Alan leaned forward. "What kind of changes?" "Temperature drops, radiation spikes, sensory deprivation. The challenge tests mental resilience as much as physical." After Zerna left, the team discussed strategy. If darkness wasn't a major problem for humans compared to other species, they might perform even better in the second challenge. Morning came, and the remaining 30 teams gathered at the arena. Many competitors looked at the humans with new wariness. Their unexpected success had changed how they were perceived. Vexilor approached, his scaled skin gleaming under the lights. "The second challenge separates the strong from the weak," he said. "Many will fail." "We'll do our best," Lisa replied simply. The reptilian warrior studied her face. "Your kind doesn't show fear the way others do." "We feel it," Lisa admitted. "We just don't let it stop us." This seemed to please Vexilor. He nodded and rejoined his team. The arena had been transformed overnight. Now it was divided into 30 enclosed chambers, one for each team. As they entered their designated area, lights began to dim. Complete darkness in 60 seconds, an automated voice announced, "Night survival begins now." As light faded, Lisa felt the temperature begin to drop. The chamber was about 20 meters square, with nothing but empty space. "Stay close," she told her team. "We'll conserve body heat." Complete darkness enveloped them. Most humans would find absolute darkness uncomfortable, but not terrifying. For many alien species, however, it triggered primal fears. Through sound-conducting walls, they could hear other teams already struggling. Cries of distress, sounds of panic. "Sit in a circle, backs together," John suggested. "Standard survival formation." They settled into position just as the first real challenge began. The floor beneath them vibrated slightly, then began to emit cold. Not just cool, but a deep, penetrating cold that seemed to reach into their bones. "Temperature dropping fast," Samantha warned. "This is beyond Earth winter levels." "Keep moving your fingers and toes," Lisa instructed. "Alan, what's our gear rated for?" "-40 at best," he replied, voice shaking slightly. "But these limiters are restricting our body's natural responses. Our blood flow is dampened." Outside the chambers, the council and spectators watched through thermal imaging. Most teams were already showing signs of severe stress. Some had triggered emergency exits and forfeited. The humans are still functioning, Nevrath observed with surprise, even in temperatures that would freeze most species. Kestak clicked nervously. "Perhaps we underestimated them, even with the limiters." In the darkness of their chamber, the human team huddled together, using techniques mountain climbers on Earth had developed centuries ago. They told stories to stay alert, moved regularly to maintain circulation, and reminded each other to stay awake. The night had just begun, and already they were showing why Deathworlders were both feared and respected across the galaxy. Hours passed in the dark chamber. The humans endured the extreme cold, but new challenges arose. The air grew thin, making breathing difficult. Then strange sounds began, high-pitched wails that seemed designed to create anxiety. "They're testing our mental resilience now," Samantha whispered, her voice barely audible over the noise. Lisa nodded, though no one could see her in the darkness. "Focus on your breathing. The sounds can't hurt us." By the 6-hour mark, only 15 teams remained in the competition. The others had triggered emergency exits, unable to handle the combination of darkness, cold, thin air, and psychological pressure. "Half done," John said encouragingly. "We can do this." Suddenly, the floor beneath them shifted. The solid surface became uneven, with sections rising and others sinking. They had to constantly adjust their positions to stay balanced. "They're not making this easy," Alan muttered. "Earth has earthquakes," Lisa reminded them. "We're used to the ground moving." Outside the chambers, the council members continued to monitor the teams. The humans' vital signs remained stable despite conditions that had eliminated most competitors. "Remarkable," murmured a counselor. "They've hardly used their emergency oxygen supplies." Ambassador Kestak paced nervously. "It's unnatural. They should be showing more stress." As the 10th hour approached, only 7 teams remained. Vexilor's Dravid warriors, the humans, and 5 others. The final challenge began. Radiation levels in the chambers increased gradually. Inside their chamber, Alan's modified equipment detected the change. "Radiation rising," he warned. "Nothing immediately dangerous, but it'll take a toll over time." This is similar to what astronauts dealt with on early space missions, Samantha said. Our bodies can handle short exposures. In the control room, technicians noticed something strange. The human team's life signs were actually improving despite the increased radiation. How is this possible? Demanded Kestak. Zurina, who had been quietly observing, spoke up. Their world has background radiation. They've evolved with it. Short exposures might actually trigger repair mechanisms in their cells. As the 12th hour approached, only 4 teams remained. The human team had settled into a rhythm, taking turns monitoring each other's conditions and keeping everyone alert. Then, without warning, the environmental systems in all chambers malfunctioned. Temperatures plunged far beyond the planned levels. Radiation spiked dangerously. The air became toxic. Emergency alarms blared throughout the station. System failure. All teams evacuate immediately. In their chamber, the humans struggled to their feet as the emergency lights came on. Something's wrong, Lisa said, looking at the flashing red warning indicators. This isn't part of the test. The door to their chamber slid open, but instead of safety, they found chaos. Other chambers had similar malfunctions. Medical teams rushed to help collapsed competitors. Some weren't moving at all. The Cellin team is trapped, someone shouted. Their door is jammed and their chamber is flooding with radiation. Without hesitation, John rushed toward the Cellin chamber. The door was partially open but stuck. Through the gap, he could see 3 small, frail aliens collapsed on the floor. I need help here, he called. Lisa and Alan joined him. Together, they forced the door open wider despite their strength limiters. The radiation inside was at lethal levels for most species. We need to get them out, Lisa said, already feeling dizzy from the radiation. Our suits give us more time than most species would have. They entered the chamber and carefully carried the unconscious Cellins to safety. Medical teams took over immediately, rushing the aliens to treatment pods. Across the arena, other emergencies unfolded. A structural support had failed, trapping 2 more teams. Vexilor and his warriors were helping one group, but the other remained in danger. Lisa looked at her team. They were exhausted, cold, and had been exposed to radiation. The safe choice would be to evacuate as ordered. We need to help them, she said instead. No one argued. Despite having just endured 12 hours of grueling conditions, the humans moved toward the danger. Their limiters made every movement difficult, but they pressed on. From the command center, the council watched in disbelief. They should be collapsing, said Nevrath. Any normal species would be unable to function after what they've endured. Kestak's mandibles clicked rapidly. Perhaps we have misunderstood these Deathworlders. Alarms blared throughout Nexus Station. The emergency had spread beyond the competition arena. Life support systems were failing in multiple sectors. Toxic atmosphere leaked from damaged alien habitats. The station's massive structure groaned as stabilizers failed. This is a station-wide emergency, announced the automated system. All personnel report to emergency stations. All visitors proceed to evacuation points. In the competition arena, Lisa and her team had just reached the trapped competitors, a group of plant-like aliens whose bodies were already wilting from radiation exposure. The door's completely jammed, Alan said, examining the control panel. John studied the doorframe. If we could get these limiters off, I could force it open. Lisa made a quick decision. Alan, can you disable the limiters? That would violate competition rules, Alan warned. This isn't a competition anymore, Lisa replied. People are dying. Alan nodded and used his engineering tools to short-circuit the limiter on John's back. The security officer immediately stood straighter as his natural strength returned. Stand back, John said. He gripped the edges of the door and pulled. His muscles strained as he forced the door open wide enough for the others to enter and retrieve the plant aliens. As they carried the injured competitors to the medical area, they saw Vexilor approaching. The reptilian warrior had a bleeding cut on his scaled face. "The station is falling apart," he growled. "I've never seen systems fail like this." The main lights flickered and went out, leaving only emergency lighting. Then the artificial gravity stuttered. "This is beyond a simple malfunction," Lisa said. "We need to get to the control center." Vexlor nodded in agreement. "I will take my warriors and secure the main docking bay. Many are trying to flee, creating dangerous conditions." In the control center, chaos reigned. Engineers from various species worked frantically at consoles. Director Prelixon saw the humans enter and waved them over. "Thank the stars," the director said. "We need all help possible. Primary control systems are locked out. Backup systems are failing one by one." Samantha looked at the main display, showing the station's layout. Red warning indicators flashed everywhere. "This isn't random," she observed. "These failures are too coordinated." Ellen studied the computer readouts. Someone has introduced a cascading failure protocol into the system. Each failure triggers two more in a pattern. The station shuddered violently. Support beams groaned under stress. They were never designed to handle. "Can you stop it?" Prelxan asked desperately. Ellen shook his head. "Not from here. The main environmental control hub is in Sector 7, but that area is already flooded with radiation and toxic gas." Lisa exchanged looks with her team. They all understood what needed to be done. "We can get there," she said. "Humans can tolerate radiation better than most species here. With proper gear, we might reach the control hub." Prelixon's forearms moved in distress. "The radiation levels would kill you in minutes, even with protection." "It's our best chance," Lisa insisted. "Otherwise, the whole station could break apart." The director hesitated, then nodded. "The emergency vault has radiation suits, but they're designed for quick exposure, not prolonged work in high radiation areas." "We'll just have to work fast," John said. The humans moved quickly to the emergency vault. The radiation suits were flimsy by Earth standards, but better than nothing. With Alan's guidance, they plotted the quickest route to the environmental control hub. "Keep your exposure time as short as possible," Samantha advised. "Work in pairs and rotate out if anyone shows symptoms." Lisa nodded. "Let's move." They entered the contaminated sector through an emergency airlock. Immediately, their radiation detectors peaked into red warning zones. "We have maybe 15 minutes before we reach dangerous exposure levels," Alan warned. The corridor ahead was filled with a greenish gas. Structural supports had buckled, creating obstacles they had to climb over or squeeze past. Twice they had to force open jammed doors, grateful that John's limiter had been disabled. When they finally reached the control hub, they found it in ruins. A small explosion had damaged the main console. Warning lights flashed on every system. "We need to restart the entire environmental system," Alan said, already working on the console. "But the main power coupling is physically disconnected." Lisa looked where he pointed. The coupling had fallen into a small maintenance shaft, filled with the highest levels of radiation they'd encountered yet. "I'll get it," she said. "Captain, that level of exposure," Samantha began, "is something Earth prepared me for," Lisa finished. "Remember what they've been saying. We're Deathworlders. Time to prove it." Lisa lowered herself into the maintenance shaft. Her radiation detector screamed warnings as the levels climbed higher than anything she'd ever experienced. She could feel the heat on her skin through the thin protective suit. "I can see the coupling," she called up. "It's about 3 meters down." The shaft was narrow and filled with broken components. Every movement risked tearing her suit. The radiation would be penetrating her body with each passing second. "Hurry, Captain," Alan called. "The station's main supports are starting to buckle." Lisa reached the coupling. It was heavier than expected. As she lifted it, she felt a wave of dizziness, the first sign of radiation sickness. She pushed the feeling aside and climbed back up. "Got it," she said, handing the coupling to Alan. Her voice sounded weak even to her own ears. While Alan worked to reconnect the power systems, John and Samantha helped Lisa to a safer area. Her skin was already showing red patches, radiation burns forming. "The coupling is in place," Alan announced. "Restarting environmental systems now." For a long moment, nothing happened. Then, with a deep hum, the station's systems began to come back online. Lights brightened. The air circulation resumed. The toxic gas began to clear. "We need to get Lisa to medical," Samantha said urgently. John nodded and lifted the captain, carrying her despite his own exhaustion. As they emerged from the contaminated sector, they found emergency teams waiting. Medical personnel rushed forward, taking Lisa from John's arms and placing her in a treatment pod. "All of you need treatment," a doctor insisted, guiding them to additional pods. Hours later, the humans awoke in the station's medical center. Their bodies had fought off the radiation effects better than the medical staff expected. Even Lisa, who had received the highest dose, was recovering. Director Prelixan entered with Ambassador Kestak and Vexlor. All three approached with a new respectful caution. "The station is secure," Prelixan announced. "Thanks to your actions, the death toll was minimal. Most injuries will heal." Vexlor stepped forward. "You fought well, humans, better than any warriors I've known." Ambassador Kestak's mandibles moved in what they now recognized as a gesture of respect. "We have discovered what caused the disaster. Someone tampered with the environmental systems, perhaps to test how different species would respond under stress." "Who would do such a thing?" Lisa asked, her voice still weak. "We are investigating," Kestak replied. "But that is not why we are here." Prelixan's skin shifted to a deep blue, a sign of formal ceremony. "The council has convened an emergency session. They wish to see you once you are able." The next day, still recovering but able to walk, the humans entered the council chamber. It was filled not just with council members, but with representatives from every species on Nexus Station. High Counselor Nevrath stood as they entered. "We have gathered to acknowledge what occurred and what we have learned." The chamber fell silent as Nevrath continued. "For generations, we have feared Deathworlders. We remembered the Krathak and their violence. We assumed any species from a harsh world would bring only destruction." The counselor's color shifted to a soft green. "We were wrong." Murmurs ran through the gathered aliens. "You faced our tests and showed strength beyond our understanding. When disaster struck, you could have fled to safety. Instead, you risked your lives for beings who had feared and restricted you." Ambassador Kestak stepped forward. "We now understand what truly makes Deathworlders dangerous. It is not aggression or violence. It is your impossible resilience. Your ability to endure what should be unsurvivable. Your refusal to surrender against impossible odds." Vexlor joined them. "The Dravid offer an alliance with humanity. We recognize worthy companions when we see them." One by one, representatives from other species stood, offering friendship or alliance, or simply acknowledgement of respect. Nevrath raised all four hands for silence. "The Galactic Council extends a formal invitation to Earth to join the Federation, not as a probationary member, but as a full ally." Lisa looked at her team. John, Samantha, Alan, Greg, all still bearing the marks of what they had endured. They had come seeking friendship and found fear. They had faced tests and emerged stronger. They had risked everything to save those who doubted them. "We accept," Lisa said simply. "Earth will join you." As they left the council chamber, Zerna waited for them. The silver-skinned alien smiled. "Now the galaxy understands," she said softly. "It wasn't one event that proved Deathworlders are the galaxy's most lethal beings. It was what you chose to do with that power that truly mattered."